Derion Vence hitchhiked his way to the hospital. According to police, I also spoke with police about the timeline of Brittany's return.
You left her in that apartment for however many days until y'all figured out a way to move her body, and then threw my little cousin on the side of the highway like she was trash. You knew what you were doing. That was murder.
A lot to cover with today's court hearing, which was reset again, and I have a lot of different clips to show you, a lot of different things to talk about. I just got to say thank you to Rebecca for sending me the link with Ivory Hecker, which she posted on her Facebook. Also, thank you to Angel for signing up to my Patreon, the second person on there. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the charges. Okay, people are really upset about that, as we've been talking about the last couple of videos. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go check it out, which is the serious bodily injury to somebody under 15 or 14. I think it was 15.
If they were to seek that murder charge, it carries the same penalties. But remember, prosecutors would have to prove that Vence had intent to kill Maleah, and that is harder to do.
Intent. Okay, I've mentioned that a couple of times on several videos. It just tells us that somebody killed her. She died somehow, but was it with intent? Was it by accident? Intent. You got to be able to prove intent if you have proof, meaning, do you know for a fact this person did it on purpose? Do you have evidence to provide to say that he did this on purpose? Because if you don't have enough to do that, and he's found not guilty, you can never go back and try him again, hence double jeopardy.
I asked police, why not file murder charges or manslaughter charges, and they said you don't gain anything by filing a charge that is harder to prove. That's
Ivory Hecker from Fox 26. That was a Facebook live stream, and there's a couple more clips that I'm going to show you that's pretty interesting. She breaks down some of the details, and this was the reason too I was upset with the whole lawnmower thing and Maleah, and the fact that the mother took so long to give crucial parts of information for the investigation. This is what I was talking about. A lot. And remember back then when I was talking about all the people saying, who cares? Well, people in court are going to care. Getting a proper charge, that determines the justice.
Right now, what the evidence they do have is that they can prove that Derion intended to injure Maleah, but they do not have evidence to prove he had intent to kill her. So that's why they don't have the murder charge filed at this point.
You know, to be honest, I'm surprised they could even determine that. If you remember, Tim Miller said that it would probably be impossible to determine cause of death. You know, just the amount of time that she was out there, the way she was disposed of, the lawnmower, like all those different situations. It's surprising they could even come up with this charge. Now, check this out, okay? Ivory Hecker talks about a manslaughter charge. Do you know? And she says that a manslaughter charge would be less than the second charge they just came up with now. So that's what I meant, that some of these things I believe or seem to be strategically done. It's also being said that charges can be added at any time.
They said that's better than filing a manslaughter charge, which would be a lesser sentence, according to police.
So Ivory Hecker, here's another thing that she brought to everybody today, which was crazy to me. Make sure you follow her on Facebook and YouTube. And she says that she spoke to police and that Derion Vence hitchhiked his way to the hospital. The person that gave him the ride just happened to have the same car and color and everything, I guess. And the person is going to be not named. The police aren't going to name the person because the person is not involved in the case. I was just like, wow. I mean, what do you guys think about that? And why hold that information all this time?
You know, the big question for months since Maleah first disappeared was who was seen on surveillance video dropping Derion Vence off at the hospital in Sugar Land that weekend that she was reported missing. Nobody knew, but police had said that car seen on surveillance video when Derion was dropped off at the hospital was the silver Nissan he had been driving when he was supposedly kidnapped with his 2 kids. Well, now speaking with police today, police tell me, turns out Derion Vence hitchhiked his way to the hospital. According to police, Derion was able to get a random ride to the hospital the night he reported Maleah missing. And it just so happens that the driver who took Derion to the hospital had an identical car to the one he had been driving when he was allegedly kidnapped with his 2 kids and had that injury to his forehead. The driver who dropped Derion Vence off at the hospital will remain unnamed because they are irrelevant to the case. Police said that this person who dropped Derion Vence off doesn't know him at all.
I wonder what the chances are. Like, what's the probability that Vence hitchhiked and it just happened to be the same exact car and color? That's an amazing coincidence. Reminds me of Quanell's thing where his daughter told him to go check outside of Texas for Maleah's body. This next part is kind of interesting. It kind of caught me off guard because they say, or Ivory says she spoke to police, and that the timeline of when Brittany gets back from Massachusetts, did I say that right, is consistent. She says everything lines up from when she was seen on surveillance when she got back.
I also spoke with police about the timeline of Brittany's return from her trip to Massachusetts, and police told me the first time she was seen on the neighbor's surveillance video was the wee hours of the morning on Saturday morning, which is the same day that Derion reported Maleah missing. The Amber Alert went out Sunday morning. So Maleah is reported missing to police Saturday night at the Sugar Land Hospital. Sunday morning, the alert goes out to everyone's cell phones that there's an Amber Alert. Well, wee hours before dawn of that Saturday is when Brittany is first seen on surveillance camera arriving back from Massachusetts, trying to get into the apartment, which is consistent with her story that she was arriving late Friday night, didn't have him picking her up, didn't know where he was, finally got her mother to pick her up much later, and then was finally back at her apartment in the wee hours of the morning.
So what do you guys think? Are they clearing Brittany Bowens? Are they saying that some of her stories, at least from when she came back, is consistent? Are they going to use her as a witness? Is this a false flag to negate the rumors of her being investigated so she doesn't feel like she is? Maybe I'm thinking too deep into it. I don't know. You guys comment down below. Does this clear her? Does this vindicate her or not? Now, Derion Vence, he didn't show up to court today, Derion Vence, but his attorney was there, Cutler, whatever his name is, and the media was pressing him.
You're representing Derion Vence. Is there anything you could tell us at all? We're doing our jobs just like you're doing yours.
You're being very unprofessional. All of the print media has been, not the print media has been fine. All of the television media has been very unprofessional. That's why I'm not talking to you all.
So was it professional? Was the search for a third day straight without stopping? Was that unprofessional? Was it unprofessional for about over 125,000 flyers to find Maleah Davis? Was that unprofessional?
Is he from your channel?
He's
No.
not. He's a public citizen.
I'm the person who's out there searching every day.
Which is why we're here, because a
Not
lot
for
of
fame.
people in the public just want to know what's going on.
All right.
You can't even tell us why.
You do understand, it's just a very emotional case for a lot of the public, so
Excuse me.
just giving you an opportunity.
Can you give me a break here? I feel very uncomfortable.
So from there, they proceeded to escort him to the back room, the police officer. And in court today, too, I heard, I guess there was some debate or discussions about the bond, because the bond was set for $45,000 on this charge. The first charge was $45,000 too. And, I guess they weren't happy about that. It's a total of $90,000. So you guys comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. What do you think about this whole situation? As far as the charges too, we don't know what was revealed in those autopsy reports. Like I said yesterday in the other videos, it doesn't seem like it's anything too concrete as far as a murder charge. I think the right thing to do for now is wait a little bit. The court thing keeps being reset. Wait a little bit, collect a little bit more evidence. Maybe who knows if something else comes out, or if not, I'm not sure. Or who knows in the future. I've heard of cases where years down the line, I know nobody wants to hear that, something comes up, some new technology, some new DNA thing, and they go back and they find DNA or whatever kind of new technology, and they charge that person. But then I've also heard of things the opposite way, where people try to charge somebody and they were found innocent because the technology was outdated at the time, and then 20-30 years down the line they do the test with the new technology, come to find out that person is guilty, but now there's nothing they can do about it because they already were found innocent. So I think it's on a deeper level, and even the manslaughter charge would be less time. I know manslaughter maybe sounds better, but in actuality it's not. The second charge that the DA put sounds better. I hope that I hope this works out, and I hope they really do get everybody involved, because it's almost seeming like now they just threw away the whole situation with the car at the hospital for some crazy story that it just happened to be the same car in color. I mean, I just still find it hard to believe. But let me know what you think about that. Have a good night. Peace, and yeah.